Hi there, everybody. It's now the 14th of June. A couple of days ago, somebody wrote in the Haiku forums he's looking for an app. He wants an on-screen ruler to check the dimensions of screen elements. And he couldn't find one. Oh, I checked and no, it wasn't just him not being able to find one. There wasn't one. So I said, okay, let me see if I can write with something for you. And while I was busy doing that, somebody else came and before I was ready, he compile a KDE app called KRuler. It's available now. And that evening I finished my own attempt. So try them both. Anyway, I thought let's have a look at these two little apps I wrote. This is HRuler, horizontal, and VRuler, vertical ruler. So, as you can see, you can move them around, or you can move them with page down, or with pixel precise. So if I want to know how big is this graphic here, right? And I can see it's about 320, 315, and by 70. So let's have a look at the code. So a few documentation lines, not too important, and written by me in 2024, and this is the license. And if I say the full name of that license, YouTube will bleep it out, so you can go look it up yourself. As always, I start with my global variables, just to remind me of what they are. Then I go to open window, that's subroutine, which will be at the bottom here. Right, so window open, initial offset, right, I started at 50 by 50 and here I calculate the size. Now, what I did was, first I got the resolution of the desktop width, right? So whatever that is in this particular machine, of the desktop you are starting the program on. So if you're running your workspaces in different resolutions, then the length of the ruler will differ. And then I made it 80% of that. That's H-rule size. Vertical rule size, I made 50 pixels. And then the initial offset is 10%. Right? So that puts the ruler 80% of the desktop width, of the workspace width, technically speaking, 50 down, 50 across, and no, sorry, 50 high, then 50 down from the top, and the horizontal starting point is 10% of the desktop width, and the other 10% is over here, so it's nicely centered. Okay, so what kind of window have we got here? Right, so I set it to floating. That means that it has a small little tab. Now, initially I made it without a tab, but that made it too difficult to move around. You could grab it by the line of the outline, the border, but that was a bit tricky. Right, I made it not closable, not zoomable, not resizable. Then I put a single view on it called ruler. Right, and I set the focus on it because otherwise I can't intercept messages. Right, then as you can see, we have draw set background color, and I made it this sort of light brownish, but you can change that. This line actually shouldn't be in this loop. It could be moved up to over here. Right, then 4F, 0 to H rule size, step 10. So every 10 pixels, I drew this little line. Right, then after that, you change the step value to 50. So now every 50 pixels, I draw another tiny little line, which picks up where the other one left off. And then I draw whatever the number is. Now this could be improved. If you look at the 50 here, it's slightly off to the left. If you look at the 1000 there, it's slightly off to the right. So, sorry, you know, what you could do is take the length of that string that I print there and, you know, just try to estimate how long it is and center it over the line more carefully. So if you want to do that as an exercise, feel free. But I thought, yeah, close enough. Right, and that's the end of opening the window. So beneath here you see I had the standard closing of the window, and I have another subroutine called Get Current Positions, which I'm going to use a lot. Then we go back to the main loop. Now how am I going to close this thing? Because I've taken out the little closing widget here. Well, that is, where is it? Here. If upper, convert the keystroke to uppercase, is Q, capital Q. You could have had if lowers case string equals lowercase q, doesn't matter. You know, just be prepared for, you know, your user's caps lock key being on. Then leaving loop equals 1. In other words, that is when I'm saying, okay, leaving loop, get out of the main loop, therefore the program closes down. So if I press Q, it closes down. All right. If K-string, the keystroke, is up, in other words, the up arrow, then get the current position, and then if it is bigger than 10, right, then move the window up by 1 position, 1 pixel. And that you can see, if you look closely, it goes up. Now why that if it is bigger than 10? Because I don't want to move the thing off screen, right? Which would be rather easy to do. So it won't go further than that. And the same goes for, then I set page up, down arrow, page down, left is home, and end is right. Or you can do it like this. And so right. So those are all the keys that you need. Then I put in a little tooltip, right? Move, you can move by grabbing the tab or the border. That does work. You can grab it by the border, and it's a bit tricky, but it can be done. Right? Use arrow keys to reposition by 1 pixel. Home, end, page up and page down for larger jumps, or Q to quit this ruler. And that's it. That is the entire program. Then this old K-string equals K-string. Therefore, when you go up again to the top, while that is the case, pick up the next message. Right? Message, so I'm going to press the P key and that does nothing. These two are the same. Then here you see a little commented out print K-string, which I left in from when I was testing things, and so I press different keys and see what kind of code was sent in the message from this one here. Okay, so that is the horizontal one. As always, you can pick it up on the Git site, but I've also compiled it and made it available on my main website. So you can download the program itself, and the source is included in there as well. Now, if we close this down and we have a look at this one here, then it becomes much the same. Now, obviously, it was a question of flipping around the X and Y values. Then you end up with a window, a ruler, that is aligned vertically. It sounds very easy, doesn't it? Well, it wasn't. But I got it done. However, what is this? Well, I had that view set And I knew that it had to work, except that it didn't. There were always a few pixels on the right that were not covered by the view. Remember I said a few episodes ago that Gab is very forgiving. You start at 0, 0 or 0, 1, and in this case it worked against me. So I had to put in what we call a fudge factor. And by just making this thing 7 pixels wider than it needs to be, now I got it looking right. So that also meant that I had to put in a fudge factor there. Right, and I'll have another look at this because I was sure it had to work without that, but the truth is you see a lot of this in programming, you know, just an arbitrary number added to something because what looked like the right way didn't actually work. Well, yeah, now it works, and we'll fix it until that is no longer necessary when we get there. Okay, so that is your vertical ruler. And yeah, it was fun to write this. About a day's work. See, once I'd done the horizontal one, the actual movement had been figured out, and so I just had to check the boundaries that I set, whether that was still the right thing to do, and yeah, I have my rulers. Since then I've been thinking, but it's a bit of a blunt instrument, isn't it? Because, you know, if you want a really precise measurement, then maybe you should have a more precise app. And I've got some ideas about that, but I haven't written it yet. So, thanks for watching. Hope you're still enjoying the channel.